Today we're making Moo Shu style vegetables with Chinese pancakes. So the first thing I want to do is go over what ingredients we're using. We're going to be using toasted sesame oil. We're going to be using gluten-free soy sauce. We're going to be using gluten-free hoisin sauce. We're going to be using canola oil, as well as sea salt, pepper, organic vegetable broth, organic mushrooms. You can choose any variety you want, cremini, baby bella. We're going to be using a yellow onion. We're going to be using garlic, fresh ginger, carrots, scallions, those green onions, cabbage, some gluten-free organic tofu, and finally some organic brown rice flour. You can also use white rice flour or just regular flour if you're not going gluten-free, or really any kind of flour that you want. These are just for the pancakes, and they're flat pancakes, so really any kind of flour will work. So to clean a mushroom, what I do is I just take a paper towel and just kind of brush them. They're pretty dirty, so you definitely want to clean them, but if you wash them, they'll become rubbery. So just go over them with a paper towel, each one, and just make sure you get the dirt off. You just want to give the mushrooms a quick slice. You need 8 ounces of mushrooms, so that's just approximately 1 box. Right. If tofu isn't drained, it becomes really chewy and yucky. So one quick tip I have to drain your tofu so it won't be chewy when you cook it is to fold it up in a paper towel, and I'm using a plate here, and then just place like a saute pan or a skillet or something on top of it and let it drain for about 20 minutes. That will ensure that all the water comes out completely and your tofu will be nice and soft instead of chewy. So you need both of these garlic cloves minced, so that means as fine as you can get them. We don't want big pieces of garlic in our food. And after we do that, we want 2 teaspoons of freshly grated ginger. So you can just take not the very smallest side of your box grater, but the second to smallest size of your box grater, and just take the ginger, and you can see that I've actually peeled the brown part of the ginger off with my knife. I just cut it off. And then just grate it on the box grater until you get 2 teaspoons. So you'll need about half a head of cabbage. And to prepare a cabbage, what you do is you just take the outer layers of the leaves off, just the outer leaves off, and then you can go ahead and cut this root off. There's really nothing you can do. It doesn't cook well. And then you want this shredded. So you could do it in a food processor, just put it through the shredder. Or you can just slice it. Whoop, that one went flying. You can just slice it pretty thin, and that works just as well. You want to shred your carrot, and I found the way that I like it is to just take a vegetable peeler and just go down the carrot, and you end up with these nice thin slices of carrot, which work really well with the cabbage because they're all about the same size. So you need about a cup or 2 carrots shredded. So once the tofu has drained for 20 minutes, you want to take off the paper towels and just put it on your board and cut it into these sort of rectangle-looking things. And then you want to thinly slice each of those, and we're going to fry them. So it's sort of important that they're all about the same size, because that way they'll all fry and cook at the same time. The next step is we're going to fry this tofu to get it nice and golden brown. A little bit about pans really quick, though, before we move on. I cook with the stainless steel pans. I purposely don't use nonstick pans because I think they're absolutely awful. And if you switch to the stainless steel, you will clean them up a little bit more, but I absolutely promise the flavor will be so much better. It's those brown bits that stick to the pan that have all the flavor, and you really miss that with a nonstick skillet. So you just want to take a pretty large skillet, and you want to drop about 2 tablespoons of the canola oil. And I use canola oil, but if you had just regular vegetable oil on hand, that would be perfectly fine. So you want to heat this up until it's pretty hot. And when you put the tofu down, you want to hear a sizzle. That's when you know the pan's ready. So the pan's been sitting with the oil over medium-high heat for a little while, and let's see if it's ready. It is ready. And that's the sound that you want to hear, that sizzle. So just lay the tofu in a single layer in the pan, just like this. And it's okay if they're close together. They really won't stick. And they'll probably break a little bit as you put them in the pan, just because how thin they are, and that's okay. Try to keep them together as much as possible. It works best, but it's alright if they're not. So, once they're in there, what you want to do is you just want to drop a little bit of soy sauce on top of them. And that's going to help them caramelize and soak in the flavor, and it's also going to help them to brown up a little bit better. Once they've been cooking for about 1 to 2 minutes on each side, you just want to flip the tofu and let them caramelize on the other side. So after you've done all of your tofu, you can transfer those to a bowl. And then you just want to sort of take a rubber spoon of some kind and scrape it along the bottom of your pan just to get those brown bits up a little bit. And then add 2 more tablespoons of canola oil in there, followed by your onions, okay, and your mushrooms. And this is why the pan has to be a pretty decent size to hold all of this. So you're just going to kind of saute these together, let them hang out for a few minutes, and just let the flavors kind of come together, and especially the onions to soften. So to make the Chinese pancakes, I've combined 2 cups of the brown rice flour and half a teaspoon of the sea salt. And what you want to do is you just kind of want to bring this together until it's cool enough to mix by hand, and then we're going to kind of flip it out on the counter and make sure it comes out by hand. You may have to add more brown rice flour to it. Once the onions have softened up after a few minutes, you want to go ahead and add some sea salt. And while you're cooking, you always want to season during the cooking process. If you season everything at the end, it's not going to taste seasoned, it's going to taste salty. And then you want to add the garlic and ginger that we prepared before. And you're just going to let all of these flavors kind of get to know each other for a while until they become fragrant. So now that the garlic and the ginger has had time to fuse with the other flavors, we're going to go ahead and add another tablespoon of the soy sauce. And then we're going to add the cabbage and the carrots. And try to keep it all in the pan. Extra points if you do that. The cabbage and the carrots together, and just sort of wait until the cabbage wilts, and then it'll get a little bit smaller and we can mix this all together. You're also going to add half a cup of vegetable broth, and then just sort of wait till the onions and till the carrots and the cabbage have some time to soften. So now we're going to make the sauce that you're going to put on top of the vegetables as people serve them. So I just added a 1/4 cup of hoisin sauce, and now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Okay. And we're just going to whisk these together. Look at this little baby whisk. Isn't this like the greatest thing ever? It's my favorite tool in the kitchen. We're just going to whisk these together, and then as guests serve them, you'll just have this little bowl out, and people can put as much or as little as they want. So now that the carrots and the cabbage have had some time to cook down, we're going to add back in our tofu that we made. And we're also going to add 2 green scallions. And I've sliced these thinly, and you can slice a scallion all the way down to the white part of it, including the white part. And next we're going to add a little bit more sea salt. Remember, you want to season throughout the cooking process, not just at the end and not just at the beginning. And a little bit of pepper. We're going to let this cook for about 1 more minute, and then the vegetable part is done. So for the pancakes, what I did was after I mixed together the brown rice flour, the sea salt, and the boiling water, I formed it into a dough until it was smooth, so I did a little bit of kneading. And then I covered it with a dish towel for 20 minutes. And then I took it out and I patted them out by hand. You can use a rolling pin, but I really suggest patting them out by hand. Because they're brown rice flour, they need to be a little bit thicker. After you do that, you want to get a pan, brush each of the pancakes with a little bit of sesame seed oil, and just put them in the pan. Make sure the pan is really hot, because that's really the only way that they're going to cook up fast enough. If they cook too slow, they become mushy. This is how I plate mine. I start by using the pancake, then I put the vegetables on top, then I just dress it with the sauce. So this is our finished product. Each person can probably eat 2 or 3 of these. You can also serve them with tortillas or any kind of pancake recipe that you have.